Fine. So last class we started the introduction to the class definition, how we define the class that we discussed it. Okay. Today let us continue the same now from there where we left yesterday. Now we will take another example we'll take today. I want to define a class now. Okay. I want to define a class called employee. Right. I want to define a class called employee. So what is the use of this particular class for me means this class I'm going to use to store the details of the employees. Details of the employee. Right? So this I'm going to use it to store the details of the employee. So what are the details that I want to store here? So let's see. I want to store there. What are the data that I want to have it? Like for example, let us say you call it as the employee ID. Right? I'm giving EMP ID, employee name. I want to store the salary of the employee. Salary also I want to store there. This data I want to have it. Okay. In addition to this, you can also have the HRA values and all that can also be there. So I want to store the HRA also. Okay, let us take HRA. Right. So I want to store the DA also. You can take the DA. So you want to have the TA. What are all these HRA, DA, TA? So these are called the allowances. So what are the allowances there? HRA means house rent allowance, DA means dearness allowance. Okay, or few people call that one as a drought allowance, and TA is your traveling allowance. So these are the allowances. There are so many allowances are there. We are not going to talk about all the allowances. We'll only talk about the HRA, DA, TA. Okay. Then for the employee, not only they have the allowances, remember these allowances are added to the salary. They're added to the salary for us. The employees also has something what you call IT, LIC, something like that. So what are these IT, LIC? IT is income tax. Okay, LIC is the life insurance corporation. So life insurance it is basically. So these are the deductions for the employee. So what do you mean by deductions? Mean they'll be reduced from your salary. There'll be cuttings from the salary. Okay, right? Then we have what you call net salary concept. Before that, we'll talk about the gross salary. We have something called gross salary. So what do you mean by gross salary means the basic salary. Okay, yeah, that is the basic salary plus the allowances are going to be your gross. Then we have the net salary. So what do you mean by the net salary means net salary is something which is the deductions after the deductions. So you have the gross salary minus the deductions. So that is going to be your net salary. Okay. So we also call it as a take home salary. Right. Now, in my program, I want all these data to be stored. What are the data that has to be stored for me? HRA, DA, TA, all these values has to be stored for me. But this, what the calculations I'm going to do with this gross salary, these calculations I don't want to store. Okay. So this I want to use it as only calculated data. So this I don't want to store inside my class. So this I want to use it only for the calculation purpose. So I don't want to define inside my class there. So I want to use only for the calculation purpose. That means you'll be defining it inside the method. Okay, fine. Now, what are the methods that we'll have for the class? What are the methods we'll be having for the class? Generalized. Two methods will be there, generalized. What are the methods? Getter and the setter methods will be there. So what are the getter and setter here? So the employee ID, HRA, name, all these things are there, right? For all these, you require two methods will be defining for every, for employee ID, two methods, employee name, two methods, okay, salary, two methods like that. For every property that you're going to have it, or every data that is available for me in my class, or the every field that is there in my class, Okay, for every attribute that is there in my class, I'm going to define two methods I'll be defining, set and get methods I'll be defining it. Then, so in addition to this one, so I want to have one method, what you call payslip. Okay, so I'll just call this calculate payslip. I want to have a method called calculate payslip. So this method, what you call the calculate payslip, will calculate the payslip details for me. So what are the payslip details that it will be calculating for me? So what are the payslip details it will be calculating for me is like these, the net salary and the gross salary is going to do the calculation. Okay. Now here I'll make small change in my coding. So I don't want to have the set methods and get methods. Okay. I want to have one method I'll be taking it. Okay. Only one method I'll be using it. All the data I'll be passing as an argument for that one. I'll take only one method. I'll take all the data I'll be passing to that one as an argument. I'm not defining the set methods and get methods. Okay, I'm not following the conventional thing. I'm just going to go to only one method I'll be defining. So that name also I'll give it as set method, get method, set method only. Only thing is name I'll change. Instead of writing, okay, set employee, get employee ID. So we'll be changing the name I'll be defining it as something different. So I'll define a method called set data method. I'm defining it. So where this method called set data, it takes me all these values. Okay, what are the values it takes for me? The employee ID it takes. Okay, it takes all these data. Employee name. I'll pass all the data to one method only. Salary also I'll pass to this. Then I want to pass the HRA value, DA value, TA value, IT, LIC. All these I'll pass as the arguments for this particular method. Okay, right. Understood? Instead of defining these methods, what you call the set and get separate methods for separate attributes. I want to have only one attribute, I mean only one method I'm taking where all the data I'm just passing to it, and that will be taken care of for initialization part for me. Okay, like that. Then so you call the salary, the calculate. Where's it gone? Okay, so the method you're going to call it, what you call calculate payslip. So once I call this particular method called calculate payslip, this method will be printing me the payslip details for me, right? So including all that HRDA and everything it will be printing. In addition to that, it will also calculate the gross salary, net salary also will calculate, and it will be printing for me. Understood? So this should display the payslip details. This displays the payslip details. Okay. This method will display the payslip details. Now, we are not following that conventional every attribute get method and set method I'm now defining. I'm just skipping that part. I'm defining only one method. It will take care of all the things for me. Right? Okay. We'll get back to this one again. Yeah. So any questions over here? Any questions? I'm starting my Eclipse. Let the Eclipse start for me. Yeah. So any questions? Able to understand what is my requirement? My requirement is I want to define a class called employee. Okay, when you say that you want to define the class called employee, how to define it? So let's see this, what we are going to do it. So you need to define a class called employee, right? So when I want to define the class called employee, so what is that first line you'll write? You'll write, see, who are there for us on the online, they also can write the program. Okay, so offline also you write, you start writing on your own. You start writing it. So let's see, we'll discuss where you are stopping, where you have a difficulty, we'll discuss that. So whoever is in online, they also try writing the code. So try to define the class name. So we wanted a class to be there. So you people try writing it. What I'm doing is I'm just getting into the Eclipse and then I'm starting a new class. I'll just close before I start a new class. I'll close these classes. Okay. So we worked with Java 31, I think. I'll create a new class. You start writing it. Want to create a new class. So I'll be creating a class name called employee. You have to write. You're waiting for me to write? Then I'll close it. Then write. You have to write on your own. Start writing the class name. So what is the syntax for this one? Class followed with the class name, will be writing it. So if you want, you can write the public class name. So what is the name of the class you wanted? Employee. So public class employee, you'll be writing it. Then what is the use of this class? So I want to store the employee details. So what are the employee details I want to store? Now think of what the data types are going to be there. So what is how the employee ID will be? Sure, it is integer. It can be if the employee ID is going to be numeric, then you take integer. If the employee ID is going to be like, for example, let us say that you are going to use HR001. Okay, for sales department SA001. For production PR001, you are saying like this. You would understand. You are using the employee IDs. Okay, based upon the department, you want to have a differentiation for the department to department. So if it is sales department SA001, you want to define. Then, so what is the data type should be? It should be a string because it's a combination of alphabet number. Alphanumeric means you have to use only string data type has to be used. Okay, you want only number, then you can take integer. So what are the data that we wanted? Oh, no TRA, only TA. TA stands for traveling allowance. So define all these, define the data types and define the IDs, I mean the identifiers you define it. So first you define the data type, then followed with the variable name. You just decide what the data type should be there. Nothing wrong. You can take it as integer or you can take it as string. So if you're taking a string, there is a meaning in that. So there is a difference in that. Your mean it is, you're going to have the alphanumerical values are going to be there for the ID, like that. So deductions. Then what is the deduction? Yes, any idea what is the deduction is? Mm-hmm. Okay. So what we said deductions are the ones which are reduced from, which are taken back from you. Okay, so what now I will do is I will take the employee ID and employee name both of string type. So indicating that they are numeric, I mean alphanumeric forming. So I'll say string emp ID, emp name, both I'm defining it as string type. Okay. Salary is obviously it should be only numeric. Salary cannot be alphanumeric. So I'll be defined int, or you can have, if you feel that the employee salary is going to be very big, that you cannot be accommodated into integers. If you feel that it cannot be accommodated into integer, then you need to go with long, you can go with. Or if you feel that you want to have with the decimal point, for example, you'll be paying your employees 23 rupees. Okay, for example, let us say 10,000, 23 paisa you're paying it. Then you will be taking it as float or double you can take. If you're paying along with the paisa you're paying, then you need to have that paisa value also has to be stored. So you feel that, sir, no, we'll not worry about the paisa part, we'll round it off. Okay, then you can go with integer or long you can go. I think integer is a bigger, it can store a very big value, it can store for me. So no issues to worry about that. So what is the range for the integers? Any idea you have? So huge value you can store into this. So let us see the range of integer. What? Minus? That is C language. See, this is the value that you can store. The huge value you can store. So your integer is more than enough. So definitely left side, right side comes. Okay. Left side salary. Right ante meer right ante. You have the clarity, your right or my right? Sure. Not my right. My right is this one. So 214. Your right is? So minus 214. Okay. You are sure? It's only 214, not minus 214. Okay, no problem. Yeah. So this is the range, right, for us. So it's a very huge value. You can store in it. So no problem. We can go with int. We can go. So int my salary. You call it a salary. I think salary is not a better word. We'll go with the basic salary, or I'll call it as only basic. Basic. basic pay. You can call it a basic pay or basic pay. If you feel it is basic pay, write it as basic pay. I'm following the convention. The second word, first letter, I'm taking it as a capital letter there. Okay, then what? So we want to have all those values because the HRA, DA, TA values has to be there. Then you can take those values also. HRA value, DA value. Okay, DA value I want to have it. What else you wanted? HRA, DA, TA, IT, PF. Okay, DA, TA, IT, LIC. You want PF also? Don't want to. Because it is burden for you to do calculations, right? You have to do all the calculations manually. You have to take the calculator and do the calculations. That's why it is. You don't want more deductions. Yes or no? Hey, your system is going to do all the calculations and it's going to give the result. Why you have to worry about? You put whatever you want it, no? So you can give all the kinds of deductions you wanted. All this. This is only for the what? It's a practice application. Don't worry. So this is not the application for your salary calculations. Okay. If lots of cuttings are going to be there, automatically what you people will do? Sir, I don't want so many cuttings. You give me more money to take home than putting in the bank. Yes? Okay. So these are the things that I wanted as a part of my employee details. We said already once, a few more details also we said what? Gross salary, net salary also we said. But I said, I don't want that one to be stored. That I want only for calculation purpose. So I don't want to store inside my class. Understood? I don't want to store that one inside my class. I want to use that one only for my calculation purpose. So I'll not be storing it. Then, okay. Then what we said, we want to have a method has to be there. So only one method we are going to declare it. That method will pass all the data to that particular method itself. We are passing all the data to that method. So I'll write public. So how we define the methods? First return data type, then name of the method, then open the parenthesis. You are going to pass the parameters for the methods. Right now, I'm taking void. So what is the name of the method? We said set data. I want to have a method name. This is my method name called set data. For this, I'll be using a prefix called public. So public indicating what the value is can be accessed. Sorry, the method can be accessed outside the class for me. That is using my object and everything, I can access it. That's why I'm going to define it as a public method there. Now, for this method, I want to pass all the data as my argument for this one. So what are the data I want? Employee ID, name, all that I want to pass. Okay. So string emp ID, comma, then so I'll be defining string emp name. Okay, then int basic, I'll just say, okay, VS, I'm taking a variable name, then int HRA, int DA, int TA, comma, int IT, comma, int LIC, int PF. See all the data, whatever the calculations you are making, whatever the data of that particular employee, all the data I'm passing it here to my function there. Then once I'm passing the data, now this data I want to assign to my class variables. I want to store it inside my class variables. I want to store it. So then, so we'll be using this dot. So emp ID is equal to emp ID for me. It doesn't work. Okay. So this dot emp ID is equal to emp ID I'm writing. So it means for me what? The class variable data is I'm assigning the data of the local variable to class variable. So that is, we also call it as a class variable, or you call it as an instance variable, we call it as. You can join. If you're free, you can join now. Right? So what I'm doing there, so I'm assigning the data to my class variables. Okay. So internally, I'm going to have a class variable. For that class variable, I'm assigning the data from my method. So what the data I'm passing as an argument to my method, that is going to be my local variable, and that data I'm assigning to my class variable there. Okay, so we also call this one as a instance variables, you call it as. So these are the instance variables for us. Okay, these are my instance variables. So for these variables, I'm assigning the data of what I'm going to pass as an argument to my methods. Remember, the data, the variables, what you're declaring it as a parameters, those are acting as a local variables for that particular method. In Java, what happens is the local variables will be given the higher preference than the variables of your class. To say one word, which variable is near to it, that variable is given preference. Understand what I'm telling? So which is most nearest variable for the set data method? The local variable is the most nearest one for that. Okay. I'm using the same variable name I'm using, employee ID, employee ID. So employee ID, I'm using it in my class, as well as I'm using employee ID in my method. Both is the same variable. So then to differentiate that, you have to use this dot employee ID is equal to employee ID, I have to write. So that I'm not given any qualifier for that one, just employee ID I'm writing, that will be taken as a local variable. If I'm writing this dot employee ID, this dot employee ID means that you are referring to the class variable, that is to your instance variable you are going to refer to. Clear? Any doubts there? Okay. Now this using this the keyboard called this is optional for you if I'm going to use two different names. For example, let us say that here employee ID is there, right? What I have defined as a parameter, this I'm using a different name. Okay. So for example, let us say we'll take the another example. I'll assign the e name. So this dot e name, sorry, my employee name is equal to employee name. Now, if you look there, I have taken one variable called BS. This variable is BS, but inside my class, I have defined it as basic pay. So they are different now. Okay, both are different. So then what you can do, it is not necessary for you to write this there. Simply you can say what? The basic pay is equal to BS, you can write. Because my class variable name is different and my local variable is different. So I can use directly, I can assign it. Not necessary for you to write this dot. If you write this dot, nothing wrong. Okay. So this dot is used only to tell that you are assigning the data for your class variable, right? Okay. So I want to assign my HRA value. So I'll be writing this dot HRA is equal to HRA value. I want to assign my DA value. This dot DA is equal to DA, because we are going to use the same variables for all this. So PF IT, then LIC I'm using, LIC I'm giving. So all the data that you are assigned to it here. So what is that we are doing in this method? So we are assigning the data, okay, given as argument for me, given as arguments, or what you call parameters, okay, to the method. I'm assigning the data what is given to the method to my class variables, or what you call my instance variables. I'm going to assign it. Okay. So everything is being done there. Then what else we wanted? So all these method, the set data method, we have defined it. Okay, done it is. Then we said one more method I want to have it, that is calculate payslip. So this is another method. So how do you define the methods? This basic syntax goes is you'll be writing the public. Okay. You want to write as void, indicating that the method will not return anything for you. If the method is not returning anything, you write it as void. If your method is returning something, what it is going to return, you need to define the return data type. So my method is not going to return anything. So I'll write it as void method. If your method is returning a string value, then you need to write it as string. Okay, if your method is returning the integer value, you have to say int. Like that, based upon your requirement, you have to write the return data type. Then, so what is the name of the method we said? So we want to have the method name called calculate payslip. Okay, this is my method. So I'm not defining any arguments for this one. Okay, so what is the use of this method we said? So this method is used for calculating the payslip details. So I want to calculate the other rest of the details I want to calculate. What are the details that I want to calculate? My gross salary, net salary, both I want to calculate. We said the gross salary and net salary will not store inside the class. We said we'll be using it for temporary calculations only. That means you are defining it only in your method now. So I want to have the gross salary, GS I'm taking a variable. Then net salary I want to have it. I'll take the variable called NS. If you want to have the, I mean, let us say deductions and allowances also you want to find out, then that also we can find out. So I'll just say total allowance, then total deductions. I'm taking two variables there, total allowances and total deductions there. Now, what are the total allowances? The sum of all the allowances. We said what are the allowances for us there? HRA, DA and all that. Okay, HRA, DA, okay, TA, so, sorry, plus TA plus DA. So these are the allowances that we are using it inside my program. So what are the deductions we are using it in my program? So IT, LIC, PF. Okay. See, I'm using just LIC, IT, PF. I am using it. Is it necessary to use this there? This dot IT, this dot LIC, or this dot? Is it necessary? Why? In set method, you are writing it as this dot. But here in the calculate method, you are not writing the this. Why you are not writing this here?
Local class
You are assigned. I didn't say no to that. But when you are assigning, you are writing this dot. But here you are not using this. Why? It is something like this. You are carrying two pens. Okay, you are carrying two pens. One pen is there in the top pocket and one more pen is there in the bottom pocket. Then you want to refer to the top pocket, what you will do? Top pocket dot pen you'll say. Bottom pocket means, so bottom pocket dot pen you'll be writing it. Now I'm having two pens are there. One is in my pocket, one more in my, they both are there. Two pockets, two pens are there. So which one you want to refer? So as there is a confusion for the system, system has a confusion, right? No. System doesn't have any confusion. You say, I want my pen. System, what it does? It picks which is near to your heart. Which is the one which is near to heart? So the upper pocket one. Okay. System will pick only the pen which is near to your heart, which is nearer to you. Which is the nearer one to you? My local variable. Which is nearer to you? Your local variable. The variable that you are passing as an argument to the method is the nearest one to you. So it will refer only to the nearest variable, not to the variable which is there inside my class. Okay, the variable that you have defined there on the top will be acting as your class variable. Okay, I want to refer to the class variable as well as to my this one. So there is an ambiguity is there, but we have the problem, not the system. System doesn't have a problem. We are having a problem, right? To avoid that one, we are having a clarity to say to this system that please assign this data to this variable. Okay, you are telling clarity, you are giving a clarity to the system to do this one. So if you are not giving any the clarity there, system doesn't mean it. System will assign data to only to the local variable only. It gives preference only to local. It doesn't give the preference to the class variable. Okay, but what about the calculate payslip? Calculate payslip method? Is it two different things are there?
No,
Is it I am passing anything to it?
no,
Nothing. I'm not passing anything. I'm just using DA variable, TA variable. I'm using it. Then is there any variable is there inside that calculate method? That variable is not there. So system doesn't have any problem. It will directly take only the class variables. It will take only the class variables to take. There are no two different things are not there. If two variables are there with the same name, then we have a confusion. What to use? In this scope, okay, in this particular method, you don't have two different variables are not there with the same name. You have only one variable is there. I'm just using TA, DA if I'm using, it automatically understands that it has to take from the class. Okay, only if two different variables are there, then it will be having a problem. So which one has to be taken? But as I said, Java doesn't have a problem. You have a problem. So you need to tell to Java that you give the preference to this one, this one, this. Okay, there you are using this there. Okay, no. Now I want to print the values. No, sorry. I want to calculate the gross salary, net salary. So how do you calculate the gross, we said? So gross is equal to
Total salary
the basic salary plus my deductions. Okay. Sorry, my allowances. Yeah. The basic pay plus my total allowances. I've taken a variable called TLO, so I'll take that one. Now, how about the gross salary, Professor? So, sorry, net salary, it is gross minus my deductions. So, total DED. Okay, na? Kuchan, we don't want to disturb you. Kuchan. Right? Okay, I've done all the calculations. Now I want to print it onto the screen. You can just print it on screen. Out.println, you'll be writing all the print. See, the generalized formula is, the generalized thing that we follow is, whatever the data that you are calculating, that you print onto the screen. Okay? Whatever the calculations you are doing, you print onto the screen. What are the calculations I'm doing? Allowances, total deductions I'm calculating. Okay, gross I'm calculating, net I'm calculating. Print all the data. In addition to that one, if you are printing other data also, that is okay, fine. Okay, so the generalized formula is whatever the calculations we are doing, we always show the data that is calculated. If sometimes some data is not required for me to show on screen, you can hide it out. Okay, that depends upon your application, what you want to write. The most generalized is whatever the calculations we are doing, we print onto the screen, or you will be storing it somewhere and you will be using it for calculations purpose. Right? So complete it. Okay, complete it then. You understood? Okay, complete.